write on the subject of the profound, on metaphysics, epistemology, the true nature, actual nature of reality, always salute Manjushri. And they consider that any great teaching or any great insight or any revelatory inference or meditative experience that reveals something deeper about the nature of reality is inspired by Manjushri. One of the very important points about Manjushri symbolism is the issue of his being eternal youth. The wisdom is not considered, not symbolized, or not made synonymous with age. In the West, we think of wisdom as sort of the gray beard who has seen it all and has seen 100 winters dawn or 80 winters dawn, and who knows by experience, has been sort of jolted by years of experience into some sort of resignation and insight, understanding of the processes of life. Whereas in the Buddhist tradition, one can still be philosophically immature at 90, 100. It doesn't help necessarily just to have experience. If one continuously misinterprets that experience under the influence of misknowledge, of false concepts, age will not necessarily make one grow wiser, not necessarily. And actually, as you know in the Buddha's own biography, he himself was very much iconoclastic and very much a challenger of traditional wisdom. And Manjushri similarly has this iconic imagery of being a young person, orange in color, carrying a sword that has a flaming tip, and it's cutting through all kinds of confusion. It's the symbolism of Manjushri. Now, it is said that Tsong Khapa, when he was about in his early 30s, he was already a great teacher. And at this time, he met this person who had come from eastern Tibet area, whose name was Lama Umapa, sort of burlap type of cowherd type. But Lama Umapa had a unique property, and he passed out. There was like a sound like a freight train going by, but there was no railroads. And he passed out, completely blacked out, fell down. And when he woke up, Manjushri was sitting there in front of him. When Manjushri apparently appeared to him, Manjushri appeared in this kind of blue globe, like cobalt blue, like a little spaceship or something, with orange colored body, and was sitting there in front of him saying, "Wake up, wake up." So then from that time on, he always saw Manjushri all the time. Manjushri, an emanation of Manjushri was always apparent to this Lama Umapa. And they said, after a while, he said, "Okay, now you are an illiterate cowherd, now you should go down and study, because you're going to be sort of a medium for me, you shouldn't be a complete ignoramus." And he was illiterate, the Umapa. You should therefore go there and study. And by the time he had gotten to central Tibet and had met this Lama Umapa, he had some knowledge. But he was known as one who could talk to Manjushri, which was not, of course, the academic Tibetans were not necessarily all accepting that. For some reason, Tsong Khapa recognized the validity of this man's mediumship. So Tsong Khapa went with him, and he spent about a year questioning, or 2 years, a year and a half, questioning Manjushri through Lama Umapa. He and Lama Umapa would sit in the cave. He would go and meditate. He would come and say, "Umapa, now ask him, what is the difference between the dialectical centrists and the dogmatic centrists? What is the difference in their view on the private object?" For example, some difficult philosophical questions. And he would get answers through Umapa. He got scolded by Manjushri, actually. When he asked that particular question, he said, "Tell me, Manjushri, please, is my view the view of the dialecticist centrist, as I have translated it, prasangika madhyamaka, or is it the view of the dogmaticist centrist?" And Manjushri said, "You should be so lucky as even know what are these kind of centrists. You don't have either view. You have that view which holds in mind nothing at all, and thinks that blankness of mind is the view of emptiness. In other words, you're a nihilist, you're totally deluded. I don't care how long you've been studying, forget it." This got him really shook up, so he would go back and he would meditate more and he would study more. He was in his 30s, he had already had trances, like when he was in his early 20s, he was known once that he was in a prajnaparamita, or transcendent wisdom scripture recitation session, the Heart Sutra, as some of you may know from Zen. The basis of all the teachings of shunyata, or emptiness, or relativity, is the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the Buddha's discourse, that is to say, in the context of giving the teaching of transcendent wisdom. And Tsong Khapa had been in a chanting session with monks on this sutra and been meditating on it, and he went into a kind of trance. And when the thing ended, the monks left the chapel in this one monastery, Nartang Monastery, and he was just like...